And still to this day, the Snow White box office disaster continues to worsen over time.
I am a feminist. Whether that's activism or not, that just is what makes sense to me.
All right, sugar, let me just tell you something that's got everybody's wigs snatched and eyebrows raised so high they might meet Jesus. Disney has declared war on their own past, and they're using Emma Stone to fire the first shot. People are shook. The internet is spinning conspiracies left and right, and let's just say the tea is hot. If you thought the last live-action Snow White fiasco was the end of it, honey, buckle up. Cause this new twist has got folks hollering louder than a side chick scandal on Sunday. And believe me, you want to stick around for every last drop of this story. Remember that Snow White remake from not too long ago? The one that soared in on a big wave of hype, then belly flopped so badly the ripple effect was felt all over social media. Folks were dragging it from day one. They said it was too modern, too woke, and not nearly charming enough to do a 1937 classic justice. Girl, it was a whole mess. I mean, imagine taking a beloved fairy tale about sweet innocence, dwarfs singing in a cottage, and a princess who finds love in the forest, only to serve up something that felt more like a preachy attempt at rewriting history. Fans hopped on Twitter faster than you can say apple poison, calling it a snooze fest and a betrayal. Box office numbers? They were pitiful compared to what the House of Mouse usually pulls in. And let's not even start on how the dwarfs were hardly represented the way folks expected. Instead of the whimsy we grew up on, watchers felt like they got a moral lecture on top of a bad reimagining. Baby, the meltdown was everywhere. That fiasco left Disney with egg on its face and a legion of disappointed fans. Some folks labeled it the biggest miscalculation in ages, noting that messing with a cherished classic can blow up in your face if you don't treat it tenderly. But let me tell you, that meltdown was just the calm before the real storm, because Disney turned right around and said, "Oh, you thought we were done? Bless your heart." And baby, that leads us straight to the next jaw-dropper in this twisted fairy tale drama. So, into this battlefield steps Emma Stone. Out of nowhere, Disney dropped a surprise announcement that she is their brand new leading lady for a Snow White do-over. Yes, another one. Now, we already know Emma Stone can bring the heat. Girlfriend served looks and laughs in Cruella, scooped up an Oscar for La La Land, and generally has the comedic timing of a seasoned pro. But stepping into Snow White, that had folks hollering, "Wait, we're doing this again." Disney's official statement was all about how this new version will be fresh yet faithful, telling us it's going to capture the original 1937 charm and remain relevant for modern viewers. That's what they said about the last one, too. People are curious if it's truly possible this time, especially given that the previous attempt basically rubbed some folks the wrong way on every level, from romantic subplots to portrayal of dwarfs. Critics and fans alike are buzzing. Will Stone pivot away from the comedic edge she's known for? Or will the film lean into that charm, letting her comedic side bubble up while preserving the fairy tale magic? Child, let me just say, they better figure it out real quick, cause Disney cannot afford another meltdown. The real question is if this pivot is part of some hush-hush plan to snatch back the Snow White reputation they lost. But don't think everything's coming up roses, just because Emma Stone is front and center. Honey, the real drama is just beginning. Now, if there's one thing about Emma Stone, it's that she commands an audience. She's got an Oscar, she's proven she can handle humor, heartbreak, and everything in between, and let's be real, her face alone sells tickets. So naturally, Disney is banking on her star power to reel folks back to the theater. But here's what's really got tongues wagging. Rumors that they're going all in on a strong, independent spin for Snow White. We're hearing chatter that this new take might shrug off the whole waiting for Prince Charming angle altogether. Instead, they're hinting that Stone's Snow White will be about empowerment, about a woman forging her own path instead of singing at a well waiting for a random man to show up. Last time, folks slammed the film for being too rigid and harsh with its anti-romance vibe. So the question is, can they find the sweet spot between I'm a boss lady and I still love a little fairy tale glow? Because you know the original story is iconic for its dreamy romance and innocence. If you throw all that out, are we even watching Snow White anymore? Some fans are cheering. Others say the last remake messed up by going overboard with disclaimers about not needing a prince, and ended up sounding preachy instead of progressive. Let's see if Stone strikes that perfect balance. If nothing else, Disney definitely wants to reclaim that classic sparkle they lost. Yet, while half the crowd is cheering, the other half is rolling their eyes wondering if it's all just lip service. People are already out here side-eyeing Disney's track record with these modern spins. And hold on to your wigs, because the fan backlash is real and we gotta talk about it next. You know how folks can get on social media? They'll rally behind something one minute and torch it the next. And baby, after that last Snow White fiasco, a lot of folks are saying, why can't Disney just let these classics be? Some think the brand is beating a dead horse by remaking old favorites, especially when the track record is spotty. Girl, the internet is ruthless, and when fans get even a whiff that this new one might repeat old mistakes, they jump straight to Twitter with C. This is exactly what's wrong with Disney. On top of that, some fans are downright suspicious about Emma Stone's comedic approach. Snow White is known for her kindness, innocence, and a certain level of wide-eyed wonder. Meanwhile, Emma Stone has a flair for sarcastic comedic timing. She can deliver a biting one-liner or sassy retort like nobody's business. So the big question swirling around is, are we about to get a Snow White who's throwing shade left and right? Because people are worried that might overshadow the classic fairy tale warmth. Still, Disney isn't backing down. They're pushing forward, presumably betting that Stone's comedic sparkle could bring that lovable magic back. But the real shocker is what Disney has in store for the dwarfs. Because, believe me, that's a whole different can of controversy. And that bombshell is coming right up. Baby, one of the biggest complaints last time was how they either erased or completely reworked the dwarfs. Folks were heated, saying Disney disrespected or whitewashed the heart of the story. Now, we're hearing that Disney wants to redeem themselves by bringing back the dwarfs closer to their original comedic, whimsical roots, but with a modern spin that won't offend the present-day audience. Word on the street is they're also searching for a new comedic ensemble. They want triple threat performers, folks who can sing, dance, and act circles around the competition. And not just for background decoration. Apparently, the dwarfs are rumored to have some show-stopping numbers that pay tribute to the old tunes while weaving in fresh beats. Honey, if done right, that might be the ticket to winning back those fans who said, the dwarfs are the soul of this story, how dare you sideline them? Of course, the devil's in the details. Folks are crossing their fingers that these comedic talents can revive the playful spirit that made the original film so enchanting, without turning it into a cheap parody. In other words, Disney knows they can't just dust off old ideas and hope for the best. They've got to truly fix their missteps. Because if they half-step this again, well, we've seen how quickly viewers will drag them on every platform known to man. Speaking of fixes, let's move on to the creative minds steering this ship, because they're part of the next big shift in this production. So, who's actually holding the director's megaphone, you ask? Rumor has it Disney hired a brand new director who's known for blending comedy and heart so seamlessly, you might need tissues and cackles in the same scene. The producers are apparently determined to avoid a repeat of the last fiasco, so they're bringing in folks well-versed in what made the 1937 movie a legend in the first place. We're talking historians and archival experts who can say, no, actually in the original story, the dwarfs did this, or Snow White's personality was that. On top of that, they're reportedly listening more closely to fan feedback. The last film brushed off criticisms by saying, this is the new age, deal with it, which only escalated the drama. This time, they're doing the opposite. Word is they're holding screenings and concept checks to ensure they're respecting the fairy tale's gentle core. Now, if they pull that off, we might actually see a blend of old school enchantment, singing birds, shimmering dresses, comedic dwarfs, and that modern twist about Snow White stepping into her power. Sounds good on paper, but as y'all know, good intentions don't always pan out. Which brings us right to the real tea. Can Emma Stone fix the brand's reputation? The whole thing's riding on how she addresses the giant dwarfs in the room, namely, that fiasco from last time. And word on the street is she's keeping quiet for now, but fans want answers. So far, Emma Stone hasn't publicly spilled any tea about the fiasco that doomed the last Snow White. She's posted a few winks on social media, teased that she's thrilled about the role, but that's about it. Naturally, fans are like, girl, do you see the mess you're walking into? Because they want to know if she's planning to address how the previous film basically alienated half the fan base. People are dying to see if she's going to champion a more faithful tribute or double down on modernizing the story. Plus, there's the whole issue of overshadowing the romance element that was almost too absent in the other version. Nobody wants another strict no prince, no romance, no dwarfs, no fun vibe. But they also don't want the same old girl falls asleep and only a kiss can save her. It's a balancing act, honey, and the question is whether Emma Stone can walk that tightrope in her glass slippers without tumbling off. Disney, for its part, is forging ahead with a marketing approach that's emphasizing a brand new beginning. They're subtly shading the last film by avoiding any direct mention of it, but let's be real. That flop is still fresh in people's minds. If Stone and the studio can't unite fans around a vision that feels enchanting and respectful, we might be looking at another meltdown, and the blowback could be even worse. Because you can only stumble so many times before folks stop giving you second chances. And that's exactly why the stakes are so high right now. For Disney, this new Snow White is more than just a movie. It's a statement about whether they can retell a classic without courting disaster. They're gambling on Emma Stone's star power to help them bounce back. Will they recapture that sweet fairy tale glow of 1937 and add a dash of modern sparkle? Or will this be another cautionary tale about messing with a legend? If you ask me, it could go either way. Sugar. One misstep and folks will drag it on social media like last night's leftover potluck. But if Emma Stone manages to charm her way into hearts worldwide, we might just witness Disney reclaiming the magic it lost. However it pans out, it's clear that once again we're on the brink of a Snow White that's nothing like Grandma's bedtime story. The tea is piping, the controversies are swirling, and all eyes are locked on Emma Stone's every move, whether she knows it or not. Now the only question left is whether this new retelling can finally strike that happy balance between old school fantasy and new age empowerment, or end up fueling the next big social media firestorm. Thanks for supporting the Gossip Wire. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more of the hottest celebrity news online.